My name is Lauren Reed, and I'm a master's candidate at Point Loma Nazarene University. And today I will be discussing with you my action research proposal. I would like to focus on the effects of choice and creativity in the English classroom, specifically the special education English classroom. My area of focus, I would like to implement a variety of creative writing, instruction, and activities in the classroom. And I'd like to see what impact giving students choice has in regards to creative writing responses. My target group is going to be middle school students who receive special education services. And specifically, I'd like to see what the effects of choice and creative writing are on student intrinsic motivation, how might their perception of writing in English class change, and then just the overall student engagement. I believe this study is pretty important as many young people, and really people of all ages, really struggle with finding motivation to write in the classroom or to enjoy writing in the classroom. This study will be useful in terms of finding the appropriate and most effective instructional strategies to help students find self-confidence in regards to writing, being able to tap into their creativity as well as learning what's necessary to be learned in class. My research questions are: what is the relationship between student choice and middle school writing engagement? I'd like to know what's the effect of creative writing instruction on special education students' engagement and motivation in the middle school English classroom. And lastly, what impact does choice and creativity have on special education students' overall engagement and, most importantly, their self-confidence in English? Next up, we're going to take a look at my literature review. First of all, it's important to take note of the problem at hand, and I think it's safe to say student engagement is a very consistent problem in education today, especially considering the emphasis that's placed on high-stakes testing. And because of this, if students are focused so much on their high-stakes testing but they're not engaged, this is going to negatively impact their overall performance, and their overall performance is going to impact their futures. Next, I'd like to discuss creative writing strategies for specialized students. So this is going to be your English language learners, your special ed students, and your gifted students. And these students, whether they're receiving special education services because they have a learning disability, or whether it's because they're gifted and they need extra support because they have an attention deficit, there's often gaps in these students' learning because they require specific accommodations to learn, all because they learn a little bit differently than your typical general education student. But there are some studies that have proven that creative writing in second language courses can actually help develop writing and grammar skills. Students are a little bit more excited, they might perform a little bit better and remember what they learned because of this. Gifted students, luckily many of them are able to actually discuss their relationship with writing, and some of them identify that relationship as creative and responsible. But unfortunately, those who struggle a little bit more, they lack that self-confidence and may not even be able to identify what their relationship is with writing. If they can, it's not typically a good one. And then much literature does suggest that underachievement may actually be tied to students' inherent and unrecognized creativity. If students aren't given that chance to be creative, they're often not performing as well as they might be able to. One study did show that implementing therapeutic story writing groups has shown to be beneficial to students with emotional and social disabilities. Some other creative writing strategies that have proven successful in the classroom include poetry generating loops, learner-centered writing, as well as combining technology and design. And then it's also important to note many studies have been done outside the US focusing on the area of creative writing. And some of these studies suggest implementing web-based learning guides such as blogging or other creative strategies via the internet, as well as applying practice-led research to creative writing. Both of these things can not only develop reader and writer communication, but it can also help students gain the necessary skills that they're going to need to move on to high school and further on. We've talked quite a bit about creative writing and studies in that area. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about student choice and engagement. Many studies have shown that students are more motivated when the social context fulfills their basic psychological needs. These needs include the need to survive, the need for love and belonging, to gain power, to be free, and have fun. I'd like to emphasize freedom. Freedom and choice have been discussed to be key components for students and people in general to enjoy what they're doing. When you're given a chance to make decisions, students are able to actually represent their identity. They're able to be themselves, have freedom, and most importantly, have fun. Next, I'd like to discuss the methodology of my action research. Specifically, this study is an expansion of previous studies. My subjects are going to include students that are in my direct English class, which typically consists of about 8 to 10 special education students. A direct English class is a student that does not have any general education students, but these students do participate in the same curriculum at just a different pace. The specific class is part of Capistrano Unified School District, and it will take place in a middle school classroom, so grades 6 through 8. This particular middle school is a very high achieving middle school and is located in a small, close-knit community. The specifics of the subjects will be determined in early fall 2019 as the schedule is still being made. Next, I'd like to talk about data collection. So the study will take place in approximately 8 weeks, and during that first week, I will conduct anonymous surveys with my class, and it will be conducted via Google Forms, which is completely anonymous. This survey is going to ask students questions about where they're at now. How do they feel about English class? How do they feel about writing? Do they believe they are given the chance to be creative? Do they appreciate being given the chance to be creative? In addition to that, I plan to have a sample of 5 students, and those students will participate in an informal interview. Students will also be introduced to a choice piece, which is a creative writing assignment that will be due during week 4. This particular assignment, they will have 2 of them throughout the study, and they'll be given a topic, whether that topic is kindness, or they're given a question, or it's a specific theme, and they'll be able to respond to that in any way they choose based on the instruction that they'll be given the next couple weeks. And then week 2 through 4, students will participate in creative writing instruction and activities as a class. Week 4 is when they'll actually present their choice piece assignment and turn it in. Week 5 through 8, students again will go back to or continue their creative writing instruction and activities as a class. And then week 8, which will be the end of the study, they will turn in and present their second choice piece. In addition to that, they will also participate in another Google Forms survey. And then lastly, I'd like to just talk about how I will analyze that data. I plan to compare the pre and post surveys and see what, if anything, has changed in students' perception or their engagement and motivation in the classroom. In terms of ethical considerations, there aren't many, considering this study will be implemented and integrated into their current curriculum, so they'll just participate in their common classroom instruction. And the surveys are confidential. Limitations of the study may include the small sample size. It is a very small class, and it's also an isolated group of students. All these students are considered special education, and there are no general education students participating in the study. Because of that, the researcher, who's myself, I must ensure that I adhere to each individual's IEP, which might actually affect the data depending on what that student's needs are. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day.